Hey guys, coming at you with another success key for you, which is when you're brand new, especially making sure that your presentation is objective driven. So, what I mean by objective driven, meaning you knowing why you're saying what you're saying and focusing on accomplishing each objective. See, one of the reasons why you'll sell so much more Cutco after advanced training than you do beforehand is because you know why you're saying what you're saying. Sound like giving a speech when you've been given time to prepare and have note cards and know the material beforehand versus when you're kind of given one cold or you have to kind of wing it. So the truth is, for most representatives, as they're brand new and they go into their presentations, they're kind of winging it. I mean, there is the manual that they follow, but then when a customer asks them a question or something happens or they lose their place, they don't know why they're saying what they're saying, and so they get jumbled up. Versus if you know the material beforehand, know what you're trying to achieve on each section of the presentation, customer asks a question, doesn't throw you off. If you need to elaborate on something in order to make the point, you can do so. So I'm going to talk about not only what the purposes of each section of the presentation, but also what you'll hear if you don't do a good job on that section of the presentation. So, so let's go ahead and dig into each of these little key areas here. So the first part, and if you're using your manual, we're just going to walk through it page by page just to make it really super simple. But page 2, which is the rapport building section and going into setting the stage, tying into goals. So when I think about what is the purpose of this section, it's not only just to connect and to talk to the customers, but also to really establish a warm rapport to help them feel comfortable with you and also for you to feel comfortable with them. Because what I found is that when you feel comfortable with somebody, you're going to be a lot more I guess, willing to just be honest, right? To be openly honest, and you don't feel like you have to walk on eggshells when telling somebody the truth, right? My goal is that I had such a good rapport with a customer that I could be straight up with them, right? If somebody's got terrible knives, I'm like, Miss Jones, no offense, your knives are terrible. And they don't take it the wrong way. They don't laugh, they don't get offended. They laugh because they know that I really genuinely care. So, so that's part of it. That's part of the objective of this section. The other objective is for them to feel super comfortable with you. So that way it makes it easier for you when you get to the end of the presentation and you ask for recommendations. So what I mean by that is if customers are not comfortable with you, or if you rush into the presentation and they feel that you're just there to make a sale and leave, they're probably not going to give you as many recommendations. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, wait a minute. I'm seeing people that I know well, so there's no way they don't, feel comfortable with me. They love me. Yeah, I'm not saying they don't love you. What I'm saying is that they feel comfortable and they feel willing to recommend you to everybody that they know. And so here's what you got to keep in mind. If somebody just feels that you're just there to make a sale and then leave, they're not going to feel comfortable recommending you to every single person that they know. They're only going to recommend you to people they think will buy a lot, or people you think that would like to see the product. So if you have customers telling you, "Oh, I just want to recommend you people I know will buy," they think they're doing you a favor, but what they're really telling you is that they didn't feel comfortable with you at the beginning of the presentation to know that just by seeing you, they're helping you out. And I will say that most of you guys are not just doing this job so that you can make a lot of money selling knives. Most people are doing the job for a greater cause. So what I want you to really focus on in order to make sure that you're connecting is that beginning part of the presentation. Make sure that you spend time connecting with them and getting to know them, especially the big 5 areas that adults hang out with. Okay. And the big 5 areas that adults hang out with are going to be neighbors. It's going to be coworkers. It's going to be people they know from school or childhood friends, that sort of thing. It's going to be kids connections, and it's going to be church. So make sure that you're talking to them and building a warm rapport in each of those areas. I know it's not polite to bring up church in casual conversations. I stay even in training, stay away from religion and politics. However, if you go to church and they go to the same church, don't be afraid to talk about church, right? If they're of the same denomination, right, or they're of the same creed, right, then and you know that, well, feel free to talk about that, right? Good way to talk about it is, hey, what'd you guys do this weekend? Did you have fun this weekend? What all did you guys get into? You'd be amazed at how that opens up conversations. In fact, my typical conversations that I'll ask for people that I don't know that well, so I'll simply say, Ms. Jones, I know you briefly because of boom, but I don't really know a whole lot about you. So tell me when you're not helping out college kids with scholarships, what do you do for fun? And that opens up kind of the idea to talk to them about what they do, who they interact with. And the more people they talk about, obviously, the more recommendations, suggestions you have at the end. If you know they have kids, ask what their kids do for fun. Ask what their kids are involved in. Chances are if they're a good customer, which most people will be, they're going to be involved in their kids' lives. They're going to be involved in their kids' sports. They're going to be involved with their kids' teachers, right? They're going to be involved with their kids' extracurriculars. They're going to know who their kids' friends are. So talk to them about their children, and that will open up a wealth of possible recommendations. And be interested, not interesting. What I mean by that is be interested in talking to them, find out stuff about them. And what's cool is by being a great listener, they're going to feel really comfortable with you. The next key, okay, is when you're telling them about yourself, there's a section of the presentation that says, I'm working with Cutco because. Put a star by that section. And that's a really important section to help you get tons of recommendations. Here's why. If they see that you're working for more than just to make money, they're going to recommend you to a lot of people. If they just feel that you're just there to make money, they're only going to recommend you to people they know that will buy or people that they think will buy. Okay? But if they know that you're working because you're looking to pay your way through school, or they know that you're working because you're looking to improve your communication skills because one day you want to be a lawyer, or you're looking to improve your bedside manner because one day you're looking to be a nurse or a doctor, they're going to recommend you to everybody. And not only are they going to recommend you to everybody, they're going to feel really comfortable talking about you to their friends when their friends reach out. When their friend reaches out and says, hey, you got this kid Trey that called me. What's going on? It's like, oh, yeah, he's actually working because he wants to start his own business when he gets out of college. He's working with the summer to show Cutco, and it really helps him out. Just hear him out, right? They're going to be a lot more willing. If they know that you're working for a reason bigger than just yourself, then they're going to recommend you to everybody. So really go off on the part where it says, I'm working with Cutco because. Okay. And whatever your initial answer is, it's usually money or experience. Elaborate a little bit. If it is money, well, what's that money going to go towards, right? If it's going to go towards school, what are you looking to major in? And how is this job going to help you with that? Why did you get into that major? Why did you want to do that job? And then talk about how Cutco can get you one step closer to that. If people know that you're a worthy cause, they're going to recommend you to everybody. People will not buy just because they like you, but I will say this, they will recommend you to a ton of people if they like you and they know that you're working for more than just to make money. So that section at the beginning there is really important. If you don't do a good job on this section, when you get to the end of the presentation and you ask customers for recommendations, they're going to tell you they don't feel comfortable giving you recommendations. So really elaborate on that. Let's jump to the next page. So page 3, where you're going over the company history and doing the first cutting demonstration. What is the purpose of that section, you think? Exactly. It is to build credibility. Okay, credibility in the company and then credibility in the product. So if you think about it, they like you. Now it's designed to show them credibility in the company and credibility in the product. And if you don't do a good job on this page right here, as you start getting into the video and going through the presentation, customers are going to doubt every fact and figure you give them. If you have a customers asking you a lot, oh, what happens if you guys go out of business? When you start talking about the guarantee, that means you didn't do a good job talking about this stuff at the beginning. So a couple big things that you got to make sure that you're mentioning during the company history section. The fact that we've done over $1 billion in repeat business. That's big, guys. It shows that people like the product and they come back and get more. The fact that we just celebrated our 70th year anniversary as a company. Chances are Cutco's been around longer than your customers have. So that's another big point to make there. Another one is the places that we've been featured. So in fact, mention that we've been featured in American Sniper, Lone Survivor, The Walking Dead, and The Punisher. Shows and movies that a lot of people have heard of, a lot of people know about. It just gets us out there. It's more credible. In fact, another thing that I mentioned is, Ms. Jones, you know anybody that is in the military, Marines, Army, Navy, Air Force, chances are if you talk to them about K-Bar, they'll know how awesome K-Bar is. And then talking about some of the charities that we're involved in. If you've got a local charity, by the way, that you are really passionate about, don't be afraid to mention that right there too. Just say, by the way, Ms. Jones, another reason why I'm working hard, I'm actually going to be donating a portion of my earnings that I make this summer or I make this fall to insert whatever charity means something to you. Now, make sure it's not something polarizing or something that's going to offend people, but if there is a charity that really speaks to you and something that matters to you, don't be afraid to mention that. And let them know that, hey, this is something that you're going to be doing. Is not only are you helping helping themselves by getting the world's best cook, but not only are they helping us by helping us towards a scholarship, but they're also helping a local good cause. So if you have a charity that speaks to you, mention that there. The whole idea is if they see this company's been around for over 70 years, done over $1 billion of business, they know we're not going anywhere. And then credibility in the product is simple, cutting the penny. People love when you cut the penny. It blows them away. But not only cutting the penny, but also letting them know how awesome the product is, right? The fact that the shears will stay sharp for 38 years, used every day. Big selling point. Getting them excited about the peeler. Make sure you're bringing a carrot to your presentations to let people use the peeler with the carrot. Because if they use the product and they get excited about it, and then you later give them that for free for helping us with recommendations, it means something, okay? And so guys, getting them excited about the shears, getting them excited about the peeler, because when customers purchase, those are gonna be the items that we're gonna give for free, okay? It gets them excited about getting it as part of a package or as part of their free offering. So you're getting a couple things accomplished here with that page. So the objective is to establish credibility. Secondary objective, of course, is to get them excited about what you're later gonna give them for free. The next page, page 4, the video presentation. Okay, so this part, guys, is where you're actually going to accomplish 3 of the 7 steps of marketing, which is identifying a need, showing a solution, and then finding a specific solution for them. So there's some things that you can do here to effectively achieve that objective, okay? And here's the thing, guys. If you don't achieve these objectives during this part of the presentation, at the end of the presentation, when you ask customers to buy, they're either going to say something like, well, I already have knives, or I would never spend that much money on knives, okay? So if they don't see the need or they don't see the value, it means you got to do a better job on the video portion of the presentation. So let's talk about how to make sure that you're maximizing that. The first is making sure you're hitting those tips that we gave during training. So number 1, making sure that you're offering play-by-play, keeping them engaged, guys, by asking questions and pointing things out that you see. You as the expert, you who know more about the product, gets excited about it. Customers are going to get more excited about it. If you just sit there and click play and stare at with them, it's very boring. So you need to be interactive. Second thing is asking yes questions. One of the tips that one of my representatives' mom gave, who met her husband selling Cutco. His parents rather, met selling Cutco years ago. The tip that she gave her son was, if they say yes 5 times during the presentation, they're definitely going to buy. So think about that during the video section. Can you get the customer saying yes at least 5 times during the presentation? So saying things like, Ms. Jones, do you ever eat this? Do you ever use this? Do you ever do this, right? The more they're saying yes, and don't stop at 5. See if you can even say it 10 times. The more they say yes, the more they see the need. Okay, if somebody's saying, yes, I do that, yes, I do that, yes, I do that, yes, I do that, they're not going to tell you at the end, oh, I wouldn't use that. Okay, so identifying the need through yes questions, and then also cutting food. Okay, so cutting food is huge for building the need. Okay, so the cutting demonstrations are big. When they're using their knives, have them use theirs first, cut the same way every single time. So start at the back, press down hard, go forwards, backwards, all the way through. Okay, especially with the rope, it's critical that they cut the exact same way with all 3 knives, both of theirs and then Cutco. Also, to build the value properly during the presentation, okay, and create set sales. Make sure you're focusing on those 3 keys, which is 1, making sure that you say the word set as many times as possible. So say that word set as many times as possible as you're going through the presentation. That enables them to think more about getting a set. And if they're thinking about getting a set, they're probably going to get a set. The second thing is spread your enthusiasm over all the knives. Don't pick a favorite. Never hand a customer an item and say, this one's my favorite. Just say, hey, this one's the next tool in our set. Here's the next tool in your set. Here's the next tool in your set. And then the third key is to really stress the investment options. In fact, when you're talking about how much the investment options are, related to something that they do all the time, which for most customers is eating, right? So related to a restaurant that they would go to, when you're breaking it down as to how much they would spend out of their weekly budget. So for example, the essential set ends up being roughly $30 out of their weekly budget. So for about the price they would spend to take their family out to go to like Zaxby's, once a week, they would end up having an entire essential set for the rest of their life. The homemaker set, ends up being like $75, $80 out of their weekly budget. That's about the same amount as it would cost a family of four to go out to eat at Applebee's or Chili's or TGI Fridays. Pick a restaurant that's close to where they live, that they eat at all the time. And if you make it seem very doable, very normal, which again it is, most families of four, they go out and spend $80 to $100 once a week without even batting an eye. Okay, they don't even think about it. It's not something that they obsess about. I don't think any family is going, oh man, save up all money all month because we're going to go to Applebee's. That's not those type of restaurants. Those restaurants, guys, are designed to be casual dining restaurants that people go out and do once or twice a week without breaking their budget. Okay, this isn't talking about going to the nicest steakhouse in town. This isn't talking about pulling out bottles and bottles of wine. This isn't a graduation type celebration. I mean, this is, these restaurants, they're designed to be very doable, very basic restaurants. They're called neighborhood restaurants. They're designed for people to go casually once or twice a week without it really being crazy on their budget. So again, related to things that they're already doing and spending. So the investment option, stressing that is big. Okay. So I want to give you one more tip on this section that can really help you to create the sale for building the need. So identifying the values. So when you get to the end and you cut the rope, okay, here's what you want to say. Okay, Miss Jones, after you cut the rope, you say, Miss Jones, I'm sure you love Cutco so far. Let me give you the 5 reasons that makes Cutco the world's best. Okay, that is the reason why we consider ourselves the Rolls Royce of cutlery. The first is that wedge lock handle. It costs more to use that wedge lock handle, but it's worth it because it doesn't slip. Okay, it stays in the hand. It's more comfortable. The second is the thermoresin handle material. It costs more to use thermoresin versus cheap wood or plastic, but it's worth it because it's dishwasher safe. It's the same material they use on the inside of dishwashers. Okay. The third reason that makes Cutco, or the third feature that makes Cutco the Rolls Royce of cutlery, is the fact that it's got this full tang nickel silver rivet construction. Keeps it strong longer. It does cost more to put the steel all the way through the handle, but it's worth it because it's going to stay balanced and more durable for years and years to come. Okay. The fourth feature is that high carbon surgical stainless steel. Costs more to use high carbon surgical stainless steel than it does cheap steel or just regular carbon, but it's worth it because it's the best of both worlds. It's going to stay sharper longer, and it's going to be easy to clean. In fact, Miss Jones, your Cutco is going to stay sharp 7 to 10 years used every day. Okay, and if it ever does need to be resharpened, it can be cleaned and resharpened because of the material we use. And then the last feature that makes Cutco the best is that double D edge. It's not a serrated edge. I know it looks serrated. It's actually designed with 3 straight edges protected by points. We're the only manufacturer here in North America that does that. But the reason that we put that edge on our products for our customers is because it's going to, again, cut like a straight edge, but stay sharp much longer. Okay, so it's gonna perform well time and time and time again. In fact, those are the 5 features that makes Cutco the Rolls Royce of cutlery. Let me show you the reason why everybody loves our product, and that's our guarantee. Boom, and then you go into the guarantee, show the full points of that. Boom, at that point they are sold. So now it's just a question of what set they're going to get and which color they're going to get it in. So doing the job properly in this section helps identify the need and also builds proper value. The next one is on page 5. And page 5 is designed to create a comfortable buying atmosphere for somebody to buy today. Okay, and by doing your job properly on this section, you create the proper buying atmosphere. You got to make sure you're asking just like it shows it there in the presentation, because if you don't, what's going to happen is you're going to create discomfort or uneasiness. The other thing, guys, is you got to make sure you're asking for the sale with confidence. Use the vector nod. That shows customers reassurance. It also shows that you believe in it. Okay. Because if they don't feel that you believe in it, guys, they're going to give you a smoke screen. Okay. And if you don't do a good job on this section, you will get smoke screen objections. And a smoke screen objection is somebody saying, I like it. It's just I've got this, and they say, "Oh, I buy it today, but I can't afford it because I'm putting my kid through college," or insert whatever other excuse right there. It's not a lie, but what it is it's not the real reason. See, because here's what you got to understand about a smoke screen. A smoke screen is designed to distract from what's really going back. And if you're not confident when you ask them to buy, there's no way they're going to be confident in making the purchase. Because the truth is if it did cost their child another 500 or $1,000 a year to go to college, they're not going to yank their kid out of college. They might get loans, they might borrow, they might pay it without batting an eye. They may say, "Hey, kid, you need to get a job over the summer," but they're not going to yank their kid out of school over $500,000. Okay, and just like that, if they announce that the next year it was going to cost them an extra $500,000 to send their kid to college, and after they make the announcement, the dad gets a flat tire on the way home from work, well, he's going to replace that tire. And if while he's changing the tire to put on the spare, he cracks his cell phone, he's probably going to be pretty upset, but he's going to get a new phone. See, the thing is, people buy things they want and they buy things they need, but if you're not confident when you ask somebody to buy, there's no way they're going to be confident when you ask them to buy. Okay. And so one of the easiest ways that you can make sure that that's the real reason and not a smokescreen is by doing the following. And this is something that I would do right after or right above on the page 5, where it says, "If no," there's a little section right there that's a gap in the spacing. Go ahead and write in if somebody says they can't afford it. This is designed to test whether or not that's the real reason or a smokescreen. Okay. Because if it is the real reason, if somebody can't afford our bigger sets, that's totally cool. We have tons of options. Our average order is not $1,500, $2,000. Our average order is about $350 to $400, which means that most customers don't buy the biggest thing that we have to show them right off the bat. But see, if you're not confident when you ask for the order and they give you a smoke screen, it doesn't matter how many times you drop down, you haven't handled the real reason. So here's what you want to say if they say they can't afford it. Right after that, you just say, "Hey, no problem. If you could afford it, would you get it?" And I know that seems very simple and basic, but it makes a massive difference. Okay, because if they say yes, well, that now gives you options to show investment options, to show smaller sets, to work with a little bit. I'm going to give you some deals here in a second that you can use. But it gives you ability to work with them. If they say no, if you say, "If you could afford it, would you get it?" and they say no, before you go any further, you got to figure out what the real reason is. Okay. So if you say, "If you could afford it, would you get it?" and they say no, then just say, "Okay, cool. Just out of curiosity, is there anything else holding you back?" Or just out of curiosity, what else is holding you back? And what's funny is when you say that, they'll then give you the real reason. It's funny. And sometimes they don't see the need. So then you drop down and you find a smaller set that they would use all the time. Or maybe they don't see the value. And then you can work with them on how to show value during the presentation. Or you could simply say, "Well, Mr. Jones, I know it does seem like a lot, but let me ask you this. Could you think of anything that you could buy once, use every single day for the rest of your life, and it's guaranteed to work perfectly?" No? Okay, cool. Well, for that investment, we actually have investment options. Let me show you how those work, right? And so there's so many other options you could do, but you got to make sure that you're eliminating the smoke screen first before dropping down or working with them on pricing or hooking them up with extra deals. Because the truth is, if they don't see the value, affordability doesn't really help them that much. Okay, so so we want to make sure we're finding the real reason before moving further. And then the drop down part of the presentation, which will be another section I'm going to give you. Hey, the drop down part of the presentation, pages 6 and 7 in the manual, is designed to help find the customer a comfortable solution to getting something today. Okay. And what I will say is, whatever the reason is, okay, to drop down, or whatever reason somebody isn't buying one of the bigger sets, make that be the reason why the next option is so exciting for them. And we'll talk about that on another key to success. Thanks.